It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a wonderful day in the neighborhood. I don't know why, but that just felt like the way that I wanted to come into conversation with you today. I'm Niiamah Ashong, and we have an opportunity to play the next level game with two phenomenal people here today. And if I'm really allowing myself to enter into the next level game with you all, I'm a player as well. The place that feels where like my next level would lie is around judgment. I had a conversation earlier today, and I realized that throughout the entire part, the people pleasing side of Nemo kept showing up. The side that was looking to get deep connection, the side that was looking to be accepted, to be validated, the side that was looking to honestly just have someone say, yeah, man, I want to be your friend. I want to continue on with that. And it's really interesting because that side had not shown up in a while. And there's a level of really just honestly just questioning that came up for me. It came up and said, what is this all about? Why is this coming up? And all these questions and judgments and all that were taking place in my mind. And it was fun. Like the person that I was with is someone who has the capacity to create space and was just with all of that. And it gave me a chance to go through my own journey to realize that what really was bringing on the people pleasing aspect was an element of whether or not I could really sit within judgment. And I want to share that here because as outliers, pioneers, mavericks, like we're people who are doing things that are different than others. And there's an element of that it can feel like the eyes are on us. And there's also an element of here of how can we be with others and be accepted as we are. And it makes me think about whether or not we've accepted and moved from a place for ourselves, first and foremost. Have we given ourselves a space of non-judgment? And then are we extending that same gift to others? And that gift can be a scary one to get. I realized in the end of it, I was responsible for owning my own space with this person. It was a really cool experience. And so I'm bringing that context and I'm coming from that place in this conversation. I don't know where we're going to go here. I know that we have two amazing people in this community that we get a chance to really play with today. And I'm also going to play from the place of being non-judgmental and creating space and bringing that into the world for each of them here today. So I want to start off here. Let's bring in Stacy. Let's bring you into this conversation here. I'm going to unmute you here. Actually, Stacy, for some reason, it's not working. So if you can unmute yourself, feel free here. What I'm really interested in doing here is just giving us a chance to play a little bit, to play from a standpoint of just the two of us being able to be in conversation. All right. So, Stacey, would you do me a favor? Would you say hello really quickly?
Hi.
Hey. All right. Cool. I am playing around really quickly because I am noticing on my end that my video keeps popping over to different areas. So I'm going to play with this really quick. Cool. So, Stacy, we're gonna bring you in, and today we're playing the next level game, right? And one of the things around the next level game is that we are here to play it in a way that we're not talking about your next steps. We're here to help you take the first steps in alignment with whatever your next level is. For some people, they realize that no, I'm already playing my next level game. I've already found that next level, and this conversation ends up being about accelerating while within that level, right? Because if you're at the early stages of your next level, it may be a lot to take on the level beyond that. So I'd love to play with you a bit here and really just jump in here with a question for you because we didn't really talk about this beforehand. So Stacey, for you, what would it look like for you? Okay. What's missing for you in your life or business right now that if you had would indicate that yeah, I'm really playing at my next level?
It's a good question because it just happens to be what I'm contemplating a lot this week. And not just contemplating, but taking action and making some huge transitions, like you talked about. Um, so I've been in this incubation period for honestly probably about a good 3 years. And then especially this past year. Um, and so just making sure that I'm coming from authenticity and not slipping into that place of speaking from I have all the great answers, right?
And I appreciate that. I really like for you in here.
So looking at like, is this what you're asking? Is what would I have in my life right now that would validate for me that I've reached the next level, or like a level that I'm dreaming it being at? Ask me again.
Yeah. So the specific question was, what's missing for your life? What's missing in your life or business right now that if you had, you would know you were playing at the next level?
Okay, got it. So I've had this vision of coaching, having maybe an annual agreement of coaching and doing what I do. So last time we talked about my work with um, body acceptance and body kindness and issues that people of size face. But my other work that I do is psychic and intuitive um, coaching and advising. Um, I've done this work for quite a while, but not consistently and not playing full out. You know, I've kept myself back for a lot of reasons um, about how that's perceived. And so part of this last year is really me stepping into that and owning it, and because it truly is like the core of who I am. And so I'm not hiding that any longer. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing over the past year of like how that work has gone and how it's been able to really bring some positive effect into some people's lives, which makes me feel like I'm on path, I'm on purpose, and doing what I really am intended to do. So back to this vision. A couple years ago, I started having a vision. Don't laugh at me. You can laugh at me. Laugh with me if you find it funny. I'm just going to put this out there. I don't know why, but I've had this vision that I work with Dr. Dre. I'm not a fan of Dre's. I'm not a follower of his music. Um, I really don't know where this vision came from, but I feel like if that were here now, that I would be playing at that next level that I have been visioning for myself for the past couple years.
Awesome. And it's interesting, Stacy, because it's like as you're saying this, like there wasn't even an element of like, oh yeah, there's just I wouldn't know what to laugh at here. It just makes sense. Like, okay, great, you're seeing this here. So let's take that as table stakes. You're working with Dr. Dre.
Okay.
There's some things that I'm curious about, as in like what he represents, and if it's that person in particular, if there's something about that. Do you have any what is it that makes you feel like about Dr. Dre? I'm just naturally just curious about it. It feels really great.
I mean, me too. I'm curious about it too because I honestly don't know where it came from or why. I know really, you know, skeletal information about him, and um, you know, I know kind of what he's accomplished and where he's come from. That's about it. But I have this, I guess, intuitive sense that the work that I could do with him would be profound, and that there's a market that is kind of coming up underneath him, and that almost like, I'm talking surely from an intuitive place right now, that he's losing his footing. I don't know if any of this is fact. This is just what I feel. That he's losing his footing, that he still has some powerful gifts to contribute to the world, even in a bigger way than his past contributions have been, and that he's hunting around for that in the dark. And I could go into more stuff that's come to me from visions, but I think, I'll keep it at that
Yeah.
for now.
Okay. Yeah. The question that's on my mind here, as you're talking here, is, well, firstly, thank you for sharing that. You know,
I know it's kind of vulnerable.
yeah, and I want to acknowledge you for that. I want to acknowledge you for playing in that place. And there's an element here that, I that it's on my mind, especially given some of the context of what we were talking about here. When you think about both the intuitive coaching and also like the vision that you have of Dr. Dre, and any others right there, because I feel like what I'm getting from you is like yeah, like this is not, it's not like just one vision that has come to you. There's multiple visions there. I'm curious in this moment here. It's like, what's the judgment that you have around yourself, around wanting that, or not even, or not playing in that place right now? What's the judgment that you have around yourself?
Yeah. So there is a part in me that's like, who are you to think that you could be a powerful, useful, influential vehicle for this man to get an important message out into the world? So the people that I support and the clients that I have supported, are really important to me, that I'm in line with what I feel like the work is about in the world that they're doing. And that if I can support somebody making an important impact in the world through our work, that's what turns me on. And yeah.
So help me see a little bit here. What is it about the work that Dr. Dre is doing that turns you on?
It's not really about the work that he's doing or that he's done, but it's about the work that I sense that he's capable of doing still. And that there's this lit up energy field for him, and that he's actually having trouble seeing that and moving towards it for a variety of reasons. And in terms of social change and where we're going, or where we could go, he could have a huge impact in that way.
Awesome. This is the fun part. I feel around like the people that I choose to surround myself with, like that your intuition is so strong on this here that you're like, look, there might be something here. And I don't think that this conversation is around like necessarily how do we get Dr. Dre in there or whatever, like, because we don't
Yeah.
know, like there's, we don't know, that's not what the conversation is. But I'd be curious for you, like, when it comes to this year, I guess the question for me is like, what is this conversation about for you? If this was going to be the game changer for you to really step into and have almost have like someone come out and know like, hey, you're the person, like you're the person that I think he needs to talk to. I don't know why, but I think he needs to talk to. How would you need to be showing up in the world such that like that would be apparent to someone?
I think I've just actually begun taking those steps. I didn't put it in context like that until hearing your question just now. But I think I've just actually begun taking those steps this past week. And that is letting go of a fear of bragging about what I do. So we're going to call it bragging, but it's really just being stepping into the light with my gifts and owning it in visibility of other people, right? And we think of that as bragging, but that is something I've battled with. I'm going to say battled with throughout my life, of stepping into the light with all of my gifts. There's a lot of fear and trauma and past experiences that I have chosen not to do those things or be in that way. And through this metamorphosis, those are one of the things where, like, all of my clothes are falling off my body onto the ground. And I'm stepping in this new place, and I'm looking back at the clothes on the ground, and I'm deciding which one of these do I want to take with me, if any of them. So it can be a very vulnerable kind of experience, stepping into that new place with all of your armor, all of your protection on the floor behind you. But it's still there. Like, I could grab it if I needed it, right? But I lost track of the question. Tell me again.
It's okay. And let's be right. Let's assume that right where we are right now is where we need to be.
Okay.
And what I want to do is I just want to acknowledge you really quickly for choosing to, like, leave the clothes on the ground, and to allow yourself to be naked and vulnerable as you are, and to continue from that place there. And I also want to acknowledge you for giving yourself that perspective to not just say, like, okay, I'm naked and vulnerable now. Like, what is it that I like? What's ahead of me? And I'm only gonna come from this place of, like, totally naked and just go forth. But to look back and say, actually, there's some good things here with the clothes that I have. Like, what is it like now? Like, let me just choose what I want to continue to move forward. That feels like it's more me, and then continue on there as I continue on into the world. Am I getting that right there? That where it's like.
And this work that I do and want to do even more, it can't be done without really total vulnerability. And that's when it's most powerful. And so I've done so much work in my life being comfortable with being vulnerable, and it's like peeling layers off of an onion, right? There's always another level that you can get to. I'm really lately getting down to those layers, and it's awesome. It's amazing, and it's intoxicating, and it's powerful. And the more that I think we exist in that place, the more power we have and empowerment we have to affect change in the world.
Yeah. So, Stacy, I'm loving where this is going right now, and what I want to do is I'm going to go over to Kai for a little bit. And there's a question that's in my mind right now that there are two things that were happening as you were talking. I like to, like, pay attention to my body and, like, see what's going on. And there was a certain time that you were saying something where there's, like, a song that came to my mind, and it's the first time it was just like this a song started coming. And it was like like, but it just showed up there, right? So I know you to be intuitive, right? I want to speak that into this room. All right. And let whatever needs to come from that, if anything at all, to kind of play. And then there's a part of me here that is also interested in playing from the standpoint of visibility, bringing your gifts to light, and seeing if we play from what is the gift that is not being brought to light right now, or probably even just as much say, like, what is a gift that you're scared to bring to life? Mm-hmm. All right. And so I'm going to leave you to think about that for a little bit here, and really just kind of look at it and say, okay, when we come back here, if there was something that was going to help me step more fully into the light, or to allow my own natural light that's within me to shine more brightly, so that all the Dr. Dre's of the world know that I am here, and that I am ready and capable and fully, like, who am I? Like, I'm Stacy, and, like, this is my gift, and I'm already sharing it out in the world. Like, I would love for you to as I'm talking to Kai, allow yourself to let that run in the background, and then also allow yourself to let the coaching that I'm doing with Kai also work on you as well. Okay. All right, great. We'll come back then here. Kai, why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself then and join us in this conversation.
All right.
All right. It's good. It's good to see you. It's good to see you here. We're playing a next level game. We're playing a next level game. And let me start out here as we play here. Like, we've gotten a chance to talk quite a bit over the last few months here. I know that you've been playing the game and stepping up your game in a lot of different ways. I'll be curious for you right now, based on the conversation that we've had right now, from the moment that you joined the conversation. So it may not have been in what I was talking about with Stacy. It might have just been at any point in this conversation. What's one thing, and let me also make sure I'm saying this properly. At no point do I want us to like reflect on Stacy's reflection. Right. That's not how we play this game here. Right. This is about your journey, your own individual journey. And I know I can say that with integrity, where you're like, where if there's any experiences, it's about your own personal reflection versus a commentary on someone else's reflection. What's one place that you found in this conversation where you've been adding judgment that's keeping you from moving to play full out at your next level?
Wow. I was prepared for a different question as you were speaking. I was like, yep. And then I was like, oh, judgment. Wow. Okay.
Boom. Boom. Magic. well, let's play from this. Yeah. Like the whole point of this here is to get you out of get out of the expected trains of thought.
I would say self-judgment. What you said towards the beginning of the conversation stood out, about one, being selfish. And what I'm finding is that I'm being unselfish in a way that's actually damaging to me. Like, I'm coming out of myself a little bit in order to work with clients or potential clients in a way that I think would best, whether they're kind of ready for, or so part of being selfish for me is just, it's letting go of pleasing. I think that's the big thing, letting go of pleasing. And what's interesting is that when I'm not judging myself, that's a non-factor. So that's why your question is really pertinent to me, of like, oh, so if I go kind of around the back end of that and look back or feel back, I can see, oh, that's actually the root of it, is being hard on myself, really. You're not good enough as you are. You've got to add something or do something differently in order to blah, blah, blah.
You say, and I find myself, I take people's questions very seriously. So like, yeah, I do know. Like, honestly, Kai, I really, really do know there. I really do know there. So if you're going to allow yourself here and to play in that space, right? To play, and if you're saying that this is at the root of the what's keeping you from really shining in your next level, or not, maybe not altogether, but it's like it's the next thing that really should be addressed. Then let's play with it. What's the thing that what's the thing that you feel most puts you at risk when it comes to your judgment? And what I mean by that here is like, yeah, actually, let me just let that question sit there. And if it doesn't resonate, I can clarify in a different way. But what's the thing that you feel most puts you at risk, that you feel you might be judging yourself on?
It's coming back to who I was as a baby child wasn't enough for my dad to stick around. And I perceive that as for my dad to love me. And I think that's the core of this. Wow. I thought I had moved through this already. I guess not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this pattern of I've got to do something different. What I was doing naturally didn't work in terms of getting love from my dad, so I've got to do something different. And then strategizing and um, just going slow. If it feels helpful to be slow, going navigating through this. My mind wants to like go to a solution, or okay, great, that's fine. Now let's move on to the
Yeah.
solution. I
Yeah.
just want to stay with it. Yeah.
And I think like intuitively it feels good to just be with that and just kind of let that out. When you mentioned that, it took me to two places. One, like um, this just that element of family and how that comes in our past in there. I think the other part that came in there for me when you're describing that was the element of the element that doesn't surprise me that it came back. I like right now, one of my working theories is that like as we continue to move higher and higher in our various levels, we run into the same issues that we have like addressed in the past, but at like this new level, right? And so I experienced it for me. It's me and it's also my father's around like being too much, you know. And it's like you talk too much. You're like let this thing out, like you don't need to be the center of attention, like all that stuff, right? And it's like I work through it, and then it's like oh boom, showing up, taking care of business. Life is great. Like look, behold, like Nemo's coming out here and he's doing his thing, and like come sharing this here. You're welcome to come and sharing all this here, and then and it's great. It's like while I'm in that level, I'm doing all the things that are necessary there, and then I want to make a level jump again, and then all of a sudden, like, well, that's too much. Well, hey, like, dude, like this is not about you. This is about serving others. What's going on? You're trying to be the center of attention, and it just like shows up again right when I was like ready to do the next level stuff. In the next step game, I'm fine. Like I've taken care of that from that perspective, but it shows up again from a new place. So it doesn't surprise me that like you're like that it's coming back here.
Yeah.
I'll be curious for you, like when I share that with you, like what goes on internally. Is there any part of it that resonates at all? And if so, like tell me more.
Yeah, one part resonated as the most was that it, it's like the next it's almost like playing a video game and you go through and now you're at level 2 and now I'm at level 2 on one difficulty level, and then I go through and beat the game, and then now I'm coming back through and then now I'm at level 2 again on the next difficulty up, and then it comes back up again. And that's where I'm at now. That's where I feel. Yeah.
So like, can we play with this then? Like knowing like being able to let this just be okay, right? Like it's like oh okay, it's here again. Like to me, that's actually like it's an indication that like okay, you're playing differently. If this is something that you had already felt like you resolved and it's like it's showing up again, this might be an indication that like you're playing differently and there might be something that's around it. So there's almost like a gift that you're feeling this way around this here. And I would love like if we can just take a little bit here, and Stacy's got my mind thinking about gifts. So thank you, Stacy, here. If you could find some of the gifts that are involved around the way that you felt like you needed to be for your dad's love, or the way like the judgments that you were having right now. What are some of the gifts that you have that it's bringing to you in this current moment?
In this current moment. Oh, but you threw me for a loop again. I was going.
And, yeah, go ahead. Answer that question as best as it serves you.
Okay. Well, actually, yeah. What's coming up is the past, which is one of the probably the primary gift is excellence. Because if I'm never good enough, then it's never good enough, and I'm always getting better and better. Trying to, I remember excelling at baseball when I was a kid, and my dad came out from Colorado to watch me play, and I made this kind of spectacular catch, like double play, playing shortstop. And he, and then my coach was like, "Did you see what your son did?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Ah." It's never that I wanted to get better at baseball, right? So then maybe then he'd see me if I like did even better. You know? So that's one gift. And I think how that's showing up in the moment is this drive to be. I mean, the game I'm playing now is being Kai in my body, like being in my body, really. And oh, I'm out of my body again. Like, okay, let's working with that. And so the game there is like just drive to pick up where I'm not doing that and continue to improve that, which could become neurotic for sure. That could be one kind of the dark side of that could be neurosis. And then the gift of that is I'm gonna be really fucking embodied,
Give me one more gift.
Emotion. I really enjoy feeling emotion. And so when that comes up, grief and I was going to try to describe the emotion I'm feeling now, but I'm not going to put it into words.
Yeah.
Just feeling emotion. Yeah, it's really, I love it. That's a gift for me.
So the question that comes to mind, like being with your body, right, and really playing from that place. Like if this is the game that you're playing right now, like Kai in his body, from what does your body tell you around how you can use this judgment, this thought? How can you use like this thought to help propel you from a place that keeps you in power, not necessarily in control, but in power that allows you to still have choice around it.
What I'm getting is that the thought's no longer useful. It's not useful to use that thought. So what I can do, as you were speaking, I had this feeling of self-acceptance, which is really beautiful for me because that's, wow, I'm feeling some resolution with that, going from self-judgment, feeling emotion, and then, accepting this is great. Like where I am right now in terms of how much I'm in my body is great. And it's wonderful and beautiful. And a lot of people really appreciate that. And I really appreciate that. And it's having profound impact in the world. And it's great. It's great in the sense of, I didn't like the way I said great. It was like, great. But it's right. What's the word? I'm here, I'm doing it. Like, good work, Kai. Like, 98 on the test is good enough. I don't have to get 100,
Yeah. And then now, just because it just showed up here, I'm really just curious, like, what don't you like about and I don't mean this in terms of the physical parts, like in terms of like the tone quality, but like, what came up for you when you said, I don't like the way I said great there?
Well, it's like just this memory of someone's like, how are you doing? Great. I'm great. It's kind of like, well, you're saying great and the tone is not great and a little bit sarcastic, and probably maybe a little judgy. So I think that was some of that self-judgment coming up too.
All right, cool. I wanted to check in on that.
Yeah, and one more thing, and then also a value judgment. Like I think there's different forms of judgment, and what was coming up, that second part is a value judgment. Great, good. How are you doing? I'm good. It's like, doesn't really mean anything. That's just a value judgment. Good, bad, like whatever. It's like, how are you? What does that make sense?
Keep going. Like just keep. Go ahead. And here goes the thing. If it like, I would say this when I say keep going, I'm not saying keep going to try and make it make sense to me. It doesn't need to make sense to me.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah,
yeah. That's like
yeah. I get it. Yeah, letting go of. I'm currently. I'm feeling it now. I'm letting go of value judgment of I'm in the right place, the wrong place, good, bad, whatever, and coming into this place of here I am.
What do you want to create from this place? What would be fun for you to create from this place? Of here I am.
The ability to stay here, to be in myself around other people when there's pressure to perform or succeed or please. The big thing, coming up is pleasing. Like I want to be in myself around other people, and that, like, selfish in the sense of I'm looking out for me, and that's actually where I can best be of service, when I'm coming from authenticity, and I can still communicate compassionately and in a way that people can receive where they're at. That's still, I can use that external communication while I'm like in my body, internal authority being my body and kind of that world that's there, and then external being, my voice and my mind, the external authority. I mean, so like, yeah, I think I said it already. Yeah.
Let's do this here, Kai. I'm gonna put a pin on this. I'm gonna go back to Stacy here. All right.
Yeah.
And I'll just be really curious as I talk to Stacy. It's really just kind of just have a little bit of attention as to like how your body is reacting as we have our conversation. I mean, like there's something in there, and I'll be really curious around the body part for you. And then we'll come back and we'll see how we just choose to play. Right. Awesome. Stacy, let's play again. So.
I just wanted to say I love the synchronicity of being on this call with Kai. Kai, your primal issue is one of my primal issues.
Okay. And sorry, what I want to make sure is that we don't reflect on the person, but it's our own things there. So like if you can just keep it about your thing without necessarily having to put a label on it for Kai, I think that will be able to help us keep this space here. So if it's your primal, if that's one of your issues, then great, own it. But I don't want to necessarily create a space where we're putting that also on top of him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if I start to go astray, just let me know.
Will do.
But that is, abandonment by my father is one of my core issues. And as I was listening to Kai, it brought up for me work that I've done around perfectionism. And so I think when we experience that abandonment, and somebody could physically still be in our life, but they are not emotionally available. So that's also abandonment. For me, it was physical and emotional abandonment, and that has had the effect of creating a certain amount of perfectionism in my behavior. And so the belief system around that perfectionism is if I can be perfect, I can protect myself from being abandoned. But the irony of that is that when I'm never perfect enough, I'm abandoning myself. So I'm re-experiencing that abandonment with the thing that I'm using to try and fix it with. And so I was listening to Kai speaking about not being good enough at baseball, or even staying embodied, like that sense of needing to be perfect in even embodiment in like self-actualization work, right? And how I can relate to that.
Yeah. And tell us here, like, actually, no, I'm going to go with this here. Thank you, Stacy, for that. Thank you for bringing that in here. I'm curious here. You talked about like being naked and leaving the clothes behind, and you talked about the perfectionism and a way of like staying safe. I'm paraphrasing here. I'll be curious now, like coming from the place of being naked and like really being out there. I love one of my mentors. He says, "Perfect vulnerability is perfect protection." Right? How, like, in your state now of choosing to be naked out there, keeping the theme of abandonment in the mix there, how can you use that element of you there to help support, or yeah, that's to help support when around abandonment. I'm not sure if I'm phrasing the question as well as I would love to, but I think the intention behind the question might be coming through. If not, I can take some time
I
to phrase
think
it differently.
I'm understanding you. And um, for me, my process is letting go of the perfectionism and willing to let it be messy, and trusting that there is um, that everything's perfect even within chaos theory, right? And with that comes a commitment. The way I can do that and make that change is this commitment to not abandon myself. So by being more present for myself and not abandoning myself, like I got really interested when Kai was talking about, things that would make him go in and out of his body. I got really interested wanting to ask him, like, when do you notice that happening? Because that's definitely been a lifelong thing that I've had to deal with
And
is,
so
is, yeah,
I apologize. I realize that I'm interrupting you and I'm doing it intentionally.
yeah.
Like, when do you notice that? When do you notice, like, if that was curious for you around Kai, I think this is where it becomes really fun, especially in a group context where we can see those questions that we're curious about others and be able to turn that light back onto ourselves. So that's like, when do you notice that for you when you're going in and out of your body?
A lot of different situations, right? So one, if there's a trauma trigger going on, that will happen. Um, and that may not look like a trauma trigger. But for instance, I'm going to use a coaching call as an example that I was on. Shittiest fucking coaching call in the world. And the guy that was coaching me is a complete ass. And I'm just going to say it like it is. Like, I'm not going to try and make this look PC or, wrap it up in a nice little bow, because I'm not being perfect anymore. And we were doing a role play, and I was tuning in intuitively to what was going on with him, with his invitation. But he had so much issues about control, and that he really needed to unempower me in front of the group, that nothing I was saying was resonating. And I knew that he was lying. And the way I reacted with that was letting him be the expert and not standing in my truth. And there's a way that you can let somebody say whatever they're going to say, but still stand in your truth, that doesn't resonate for me. But not only did I abandon myself, I left my body because of the triggers that were happening. And then I actually even thanked him for it. What the fuck? Right? Totally abandoned myself. And I don't do that so much anymore. And so the fact that it happened, then I got really critical of myself for letting it happen. So there's all kinds of things that can trigger it. It usually has some kind of root in trauma somewhere. But it can happen I'm sure Kai would probably say the same. You'd probably say the same. It can happen anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, I like the story that I shared at the very beginning of this conversation. Like for me, that like the entire time that I was going through this judgment cycle, like I'm like, oh, like I'm pleasing. Like I could see myself doing it,
Yeah.
and I was also like, and part of the reason why this was so present for me was that there was like this battle of like, can I just become present again in this conversation, and then realizing that what I was present to was all the things that I was saying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's not good. Like that sounds like the words I used in that conversation was like, I really want to have a deep connection with you. And I'm really finding myself judging whether or not this is like leading to anything meaningful. you know, and it was just like, try as I might, I couldn't like stop the actual process of like just
Uh-huh.
getting back into me and just
Yes.
being with like this
Yes.
conversation might just be a conversation that like, let me a meta conversation. We're having a conversation about the conversation,
Because
and
you're
that might
like,
be
you
perfect.
got into that zone of I'm being too much and it's already out my mouth and I can't get it back in. And now I'm unsafe because I'm being that too much guy. You know, is it
Yeah.
like that?
I, I don't know if it was that, like for me, that wasn't it. It was just more of the sense of like, I was just in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I was in my head, observing that I was in my head, and I was speaking out loud, like, you know, almost
Mm-hmm.
like trying to like say like I'm in it for
Mm-hmm.
some reason. I'm in it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm allowing that to take place. So I do get that part there, and I think, um, I hear you where you're like, and then I thank them, like what, like, come on, right? So let me ask you here, like, as we think about this from the next level perspective here, and I'm really hearing from you. There's like, don't abandon yourself as like a theme that's coming through here.
Mm-hmm.
To that extent here, when you find yourself, is there something like, and you're intuitive, you're also able to be in your body as well, right? So is there something within you, and it may not come up in this moment because you may not be abandoning yourself at right now, but like I almost like want to invite you to like find like that place within your body that
Mm-hmm.
when the abandonment is taking place, when you're abandoning yourself, and like you can kind of come back and like anchor yourself back into it to
Mm-hmm.
be present in that there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you weren't abandoning yourself, just so we have like a kind of a fuller picture of this here, if you weren't abandoning yourself in that moment with that, well, firstly, actually, let me let you do, like, you're doing the work right now to find that place. So go ahead and do that. When you have it, you can go ahead and open your eyes. Don't take your time on this here. There's no rush.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Okay.
And it's I'm abandoning myself because I don't feel safe.
You're actually like, it's interesting, Stacey. Like I feel like you're someone who is able to create a lot of safety around. Like you're able, like when I experience you each time that we've had a conversation, I feel that you really own your space. You really own your space, and like you're like, I'm aware of my boundaries, and if I'm not, like I'm gonna take off, and I can do different things, right? So like I've always really, and that's been really powerful for me, and really freeing for me as well, because I'm like, Stacy, she's got it. Like if we go over the line, I'm gonna know because she's gonna be out, or she's gonna tell me, or whatever it is. Like, so that means that I can play. I have the room to be expansive because you choose to own it there. All right. So I'll be really like, I want to acknowledge you for that, and this right here. I'm curious around abandonment and how it plays out in your next level. But I also feel like at the same time in this conversation right here, it's like bringing up that awareness. Bringing up that awareness is like it's a really important place in and of itself. Are you abandoning yourself right now? And then there's another part here, and I think this is the reason why I want to acknowledge you. It's like you know how to create safety around yourself. You're actually really great about that. You're really great about that, and I think like it, there. I want to call that out and pull that out there as you're playing in this game, as you're playing naked out there in the world, as you're choosing to do this here, to just also remember you're really great at creating instant safety. And the thing that I get about you, Stacey, is that like it's not necessarily fight or flight, and you're like, I have to leave this, I have to remove myself from this situation. Like I don't, it doesn't feel like that to me, where it's like you're reacting to the situation in that place. It feels like there's a choice. When I experience you, I feel like there's a choice, and you're like, I'm actively, I'm aware, I'm choosing in this moment to leave because this is no longer serving me. I'm choosing in this moment to like actually not abandon myself, and like, and there's strength, and there's something meaningful in choosing another option of rather than being here or not. So that's like, that's been my experience of you, Stacy. As I share this here with you, like what resonates, what doesn't, what like what feels true for you in the context of this conversation and in playing in your next level.
two-part question. I when I hear you talk, I realize how far I've come. In creating that for myself, and not just for myself, but for other people, because I needed it so much that I want to give that to everybody else. And there's things in my past, I don't know that most people could do that, you know? And so when I hear you talk about it, there's just a deep recognition of the work that I've done, but I don't always pause to recognize. So thank you for bringing that into this. And I think part of this, this I'm calling my Phoenix from the Flame era, this past 3 years, is realizing that I'm safe no matter what. Even if somebody's trying to murder me, I'm safe. Because I have the ability to be present and not abandon myself. So that person can succeed in taking my life, right? That's kind of this extreme example that I use. But I now have the skill and the ability to be completely present for myself if I need to. So there's not a way that somebody can take that safety away from me now. And now I just kind of in the process of undoing the behaviors that got created, right? Along with that belief system of not feeling safe. And I think the more of those behaviors I undo, the more I'm able to be in that place that you're talking about of my future self, of really stepping into what I want to create.
There's something that came up for me here, and when I saw that, like with the release of energy that was coming through you there, what what was, and it's also going back to the gifts part of this year. Like I really, as you're looking into how might I be abandoning myself or catching different areas there, like it feels like the element of being able to see, taking a step back and seeing where you are and how far you have come actually might play a powerful role, a powerful role in that. And I do want to acknowledge you in this. Like I think you said, like, I've learned how to create safety for myself, and then I also bring it to others. Like, I noticed, like, even before we got in here, when we were talking about our agreements for our conversation, like the ways that you did this here, that made sure that it was not only just safe for you, but it would be safe for us in this conversation. Like you have that, you really do have that, and it is something that, like, as you're going forth and you're choosing different things. I think even just like looking back and saying, I'm not abandoning all the clothes, you know. And it's actually really interesting because it's like it's really fun sometimes. Like, I feel like my job ends up being like I help people rediscover or remember, versus learn something new, And it's like all right, let's get rid of the things that aren't working for you, and then like rediscover the things that have been working for you, and just do that on purpose, and then like more fully, and do that visibly. You know, it's like you don't have to work at being intuitive. You're just intuitive. You know, now we're just creating more space for that again, right? You don't have to work at like now you just like naturally create space around you, and
Yeah.
it's almost like you've gotten to the point of with the four different levels of learning, where it's like unconscious incompetence, you don't know that you don't know it. Conscious incompetence, you're aware that you don't know it, and then you start realizing how to get to conscious competence, where you're like, okay, I know how to create safety around me, and now it's almost, it might have gotten to the point where it's unconsciously competent, where you're like, I don't even think about it, but I just create safety around me.
Yeah.
And like, and what we're doing here is just like shine a little bit of light on that unconscious part. And it's as you go forth here, it's not easy, like otherwise we would be present to it all the time. But as you go forth and you get that here, it doesn't feel like abandonment, but it might just be like a way of just embracing you again as you're going through this year, to give yourself that kind of credit of the gifts that you have developed, and really being able to see that for what it is. I feel like there's an element that complements that along the way here. You're playing a big game, and it's really fun because the space that you create around you, like you're actually able to carry that with you, and it creates a level of trust, and it creates a level of safety. And the way I love to say, like I love to create safe and brave places, where I'm like, I want you to be both safe and courageous, you know, and you're able to just like bring this safety along with you. So I want to acknowledge you for that, and please just like, and then invite you into like acknowledging yourself over the next week or two for all these things that are out here, just giving yourself that space to like see that again, so you don't abandon the great things about you too.
Thank you, Nemo.
Thank you for showing up this way for us. You know,
Hmm?
thank you for showing up this way. Thank you for showing up this way for yourself here. Right? I'm gonna take you off the hot seat here, and let that be there. We're gonna go to Kai here as we, and Kai, we'll talk for just a few more minutes, and then we'll wrap up today's conversation. So let me come to you, Kai. Bring yourself back into this room. How are you?
I had an insight at the beginning of when Stacy was talking. There is no test. I said earlier, I got a 98's good enough on the test. There's no fucking test.
Mm.
That's the pleasing thing. It's like, no, that doesn't exist actually. So that
And
was really helpful.
that's really huge. Like for some reason, recently the Matrix has been coming up a lot for me. I watched the Matrix about like 6 months ago, and one of my clients refers to the Matrix, and like the thing that ends up coming there is like, okay, as an outlier, we have the ability to see the system. We're able to know that we're in the Matrix while being in the Matrix. You know, have you ever watched that movie? Okay,
Yeah, I watched it fairly recently. Yeah.
okay, so all right, cool, great. I'm glad you watched it for at least. So maybe this will align a little more. It's like it's like there are people who don't realize that they're in the system, and then there are people who are in the system that realize like they're in the system. And when you said there is no test, it made me think about there is no spoon. And when I watched it when I was like 9 or 10, like at first I was like, there is no spoon. I like my mind just couldn't like understand it, you know. And recently that has been coming up for me where I'm like, wait a minute, no wait, there is no spoon, there is no test. Like there's no we can't get a 98 or a 0 on it because there's no test. It doesn't exist in the first place. It doesn't exist in the first place. So when you're saying this here, it's taking me back to something along that line here. If there was one thing that we were going to talk about, and I'm like, this is edgy for me because I'm cognizant of time, and one of my things I want to do is make sure that I'm respectful of everyone's time on these calls. And I'm going to go for this here. This is what we'll do. If you can, I'd like to go with you, Kai, as we wrap up here. What's the greatest? What's the insight that you want to be playing with over the next week or two? That you're like, if I allowed myself to just like play with this insight for a bit, I could, and the word dance, I could dance in my next level comes to mind. Like it's effortless, it's fun, and there's a smile on your face.
I can't mess up. I can't fail. That does not. There is no messing up. I just
There's
get
no
to
test.
play.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. So let's use that there. We'll use that as our way of wrapping here. What I'll do is let me first acknowledge both of you here. I want to thank you for showing up in the ways that you have. I want to thank you for choosing to play and for trusting me as we went along this year. I think that there's an element here of really allowing yourself to be supported, and it seems easier than it actually is. And so I acknowledge both of you for coming in here into this space here today and just choosing to play and choosing to allow yourself to be supported in this way and to create the elements of safety and play that you needed for yourselves. And I'll let you know that I'm a better person myself as a result of this year. I too have grown through this experience. And so I thank you there. I want to acknowledge you for who you were being during this year and what you do from here. What I'll do now is I'll make a closing statement here to everyone. So in doing that here, let me come and address you. Where we are in life is exactly the right place. And when it comes to the next level game for you, I'd love to invite you into something to think through. Where are you at in judgments in places where they may not need to be? Where are the areas where judgments are keeping you playing exactly the same game that you are? And it's not to say that it's a small game at all, but it's not the game that you're really here to play at this time. And it's been fun for me. I've been realizing as we play the next level game that there are more and more next levels. And sometimes it's about being able to be at the same level with more grace, more ease, more fun, more acceptance. We play this game here and we choose to play it with one another because when you get a room full of high performing people who are out there really looking to own more of who they are so they can share their message, share their impact, and really create change for themselves and others in their world. When you bring those people into a room, you get some of the magic here that showed up here today. I can say with utmost confidence that who you're being in these conversations is what allows you to grow and see things that might be right in front of your face that you couldn't have done alone. And so if you're interested here, I'm going to make an invitation to you. I love having conversations like this. I love being in group environments and seeing what comes up and allowing ourselves to really grow with one another. So if you're looking for some kind of support in that place, if you're looking to not have to go alone as you're moving forward here, I'm inviting you to come and play with us. We're going to be over in what I call the next level oasis. And you can find out more information about that by going to niiamahashong.com/oasis and then come play. I think that's all I really need to say with you here. I appreciate you. And I have an invitation for you. Be more you. Game on.